The first thing she did was take off the ring. Not slowly, not hesitantly, just decisively, like it had already stopped belonging to her long before this moment. Lydia Harrow placed it on the table between them. The sound was soft, but it carried, because everything did in that room. Every word, every silence, every choice that could not be undone. You're making a mistake. Her father didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Disapproval, in his house, had always been quiet, controlled, sharp enough to cut without ever appearing cruel. No, Lydia said calmly. I'm correcting one. Her mother inhaled sharply. That is not how this works. It is now. A pause. You don't get to decide that. Lydia's gaze didn't waver. I already have. Silence followed. Heavy. Familiar. Because this wasn't the first time she had stood her ground. It was just the first time she refused to step back afterward. You'll regret this, her brother added. I might. The honesty caught them off guard. But I won't regret leaving. The words settled. Final. Unmovable. And that was what made them Rio. Where will you go? Her mother asked. The question wasn't concern. It was doubt, wrapped in something softer. But not enough to hide it. Away. That's not an answer. It's enough of one. Her father's jaw tightened. You don't survive alone. Lydia tilted her head slightly. I won't be the first to try. You're not equipped for it. Then I'll learn. You don't understand what you're walking into. No, she said quietly. But I understand what I'm leaving behind. Silence again. Because there was no argument for that. Because they all knew it. Even if they wouldn't say it. You'll come back, her brother said. Everyone does. Lydia picked up her bag. No, she said. I won't. And this time, she meant it. She walked out without looking back. Because looking back made things harder. Because hesitation made things weaker. Because she had spent too long staying where she wasn't wanted. And she wasn't going to do it again. The gates closed behind her with a sound that felt louder than it should have. Final. Definitive. And for the first time in her life, Lydia Harrow stood alone. Not surrounded. Not protected. Not controlled. Just alone. It should have felt frightening. Overwhelming. Impossible. Instead, it felt quiet. The kind of quiet that didn't press. Didn't suffocate. Didn't demand. It simply existed. She walked. No destination. No plan. Just distance. Because distance was the only thing she needed right now. Time passed. Slowly. Measured not in hours, but in steps. And eventually, the estate disappeared behind her. The voices faded. The expectations dissolved. And all that remained was her. You left. The voice came from behind her. Low. Familiar. Unavoidable. Lydia stopped. Because she knew that voice. Of course she did. Because it was the one voice she had hoped wouldn't follow her. And yet, here it was. She turned. Slowly. Carefully. And saw him. Duke Adrien Vermont. Standing a few steps away. Watching her. Not surprised. Not uncertain. Just there. You shouldn't be here, she said. And you shouldn't have left. The answer came immediately. Unshaken. That's not your decision. No, he agreed. It's yours. A pause. And you made it. Her fingers tightened slightly around her back. Yes. Silence. Then. Why? The question was simple. But it held everything. Everything he needed to understand. Everything she didn't know him. Because staying meant losing myself. The truth came easily. Too easily. Like it had been waiting. And leaving doesn't. It might. A pause. But at least it's my choice. Adrien studied her. Not quickly. Not casually. Carefully. As if weighing something. As if deciding something. You didn't tell me. I didn't need to. You were going to disappear. Yes. And you thought I wouldn't notice. Her gaze held his. I hoped you wouldn't. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Why? Because that was the real question. Not why she left. But why she wanted to leave him behind. Lydia exhaled slowly. Because you don't follow people. His expression didn't change. No. You don't chase. No. You don't ask twice. A pause. No. The agreement was quiet. But real. And yet, she said softly. Here you are. Adrien stepped closer. Not enough to corner her. Just enough to remove the distance. Because you're not people. Her breath caught. Then what am I? The words slipped out before she could stop them. Because she needed to know. Needed to understand why he was here. Why he had broken his own rules. Why he had followed her. Adrien didn't hesitate. You're mine. The words landed. Sharp. Certain. Unavoidable. Lydia's chest tightened. That's not how this works. It is to me. No. She shook her head slightly. You don't get to decide that. I'm not deciding it. A pause. I'm stating it. Silence. Because there was no easy way to argue with that. No simple way to dismiss it. No safe way to respond to it. You didn't stop me, she said. I knew you wouldn't stay. The answer came without hesitation. Then why are you here? A pause. Then. Because I knew I wouldn't let you go. Her breath faltered. Because that was different. Not control. Not expectation. Something else. Something harder to define. Something harder to ignore. You don't understand what this means, she said. I do. No, she said softly. You don't. Her gaze didn't waver. If I go back, nothing changes. A pause. They'll still expect me to be who they want. They won't. The certainty in his voice made her hesitate. Why? Because I won't allow it. The words settled. Heavy. Real. Dangerous. You can't control everything. No. A pause. But I can control what concerns me. And I concern you? The question was quieter now. Less guarded. More honest. Adrien stepped closer. Close enough that she couldn't pretend this was distant. Close enough that she couldn't pretend this didn't matter. Yes. The word was simple. But it changed everything. Silence followed. Long. Unavoidable. Because now, the choice wasn't just hers anymore. It was his too. And that made it harder. Why? She asked again. Because she still didn't understand. Still couldn't. Out of everything. Why her? Adrien's gaze didn't shift. Because you left when everyone expected you to stay. Her chest tightened. Because you chose yourself when no one else would. Her breath caught. Because you walked away from something that would have broken you. A pause. And I don't let things like that go. The words lingered. Not as a claim, but as a truth. And somehow, that made them harder to ignore. You don't get to decide what I do next, she said. No, he agreed. But I get to decide if I follow. Silence. Then, I'm not going back, she said. Adrien's expression didn't change. I know. And I'm not staying here. A pause. I know. Then what are you doing? The question hung between them. Clear. Unavoidable. Real. Adrien held her gaze. Unmoving. Unshaken. Making sure you don't disappear. Her breath stopped. Because something about the way he said it made it sound like a promise. And promises like that changed everything. Lydia didn't move. Because leaving had been simple. Clear. Clean. One step after another. But this was not. Because now, there was someone standing in front of her who refused to let the choice stay simple. Making sure I don't disappear isn't your responsibility, she said quietly. Adrien didn't look away. I know. Then why are you acting like it is? A pause. Then, because I choose to. The answer was steady, uncomplicated. And somehow, that made it harder to argue with. She turned away from him. Just for a moment. Looking down the road she had been walking. Because that path, that direction, it still existed. Still waited. Still offered her something she had fought for. Freedom. Distance. Control. You shouldn't follow me, she said. I already did. I mean after this. A pause. I'm not going back with you. I'm not asking you to. She turned back. Brows pulling together slightly. Then what are you asking? Adrien stepped closer. Not enough to trap her. Just enough to be clear. To walk with you. The words landed differently. Not come back. Not stay. Walk with you. And that changed something. That's not how this works, she said. It can be. You don't abandon everything and just walk away with someone. No, he agreed. You choose what matters and take it with you. Her breath caught. And what do you think matters to me? A pause. Then, yourself. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. And after that, he added, quieter now, we'll find out. Lydia looked at him. Really looked. At the man who had never chased anything. Who had never followed anyone. Who had never asked twice. And yet, he had broken all of that. For her. You're asking me to trust you, she said. No. Her brows furrowed. No. I'm asking you to see what I'm doing. A pause. And decide if it's enough. That felt more honest. Less like persuasion. Less like control. More like a choice. You don't make it easy, she said. I'm not trying to. A faint shift crossed his expression. Not quite a smile, but close enough to feel like one. She exhaled slowly. Because the truth was, she didn't want to go back. Not to her family. Not to what they expected. But she also didn't want to be pulled into something else she didn't choose. Something that replaced one form of control with another. And Adrien He was not a man who lived lightly. He did not step into things halfway. He did not stay without claiming. "I won't belong to you," she said. The words were firm, clear, non-negotiable. Adrien didn't flinch. "I know, and I won't be told where to go. I know, and I won't give up what I just chose." A pause. "I know." Silence. Then, "What does that leave?" she asked. His gaze didn't waver. "It leaves you walking forward." A pause. "And me deciding if I'm worth walking beside." Her breath caught. Because that was not what she expected. Not what she was prepared for. Not what she had built defenses against. Because he wasn't trying to take her choice. He was stepping into it. "You don't lose often," she said. "No. And if I decide you're not worth it?" A pause. Then I stop. The answer was immediate. Certain. And completely at odds with everything she knew about him. "You would walk away?" "If you asked me to." Silence. Because that was trust. Given before it was earned. Offered without condition. And that made it dangerous. Because it made it real. Lydia looked back at the road again. Then at him. Then back. Because this moment, this exact moment, was the turning point. Not between staying or leaving, but between being alone. And not. "One condition," she said. Adrien didn't speak. Just waited. "You don't make this about control." "I won't." "You don't decide for me." "I won't." "You don't follow me if I ask you to stop." A pause. "I won't." She studied him, looking for hesitation, for doubt, for anything that would tell her he didn't mean it. But there was nothing. Just certainty. Just intention. Just him. "All right," she said. The word was quiet. But it settled. Real. Unshaken. Adrien nodded once. Not in victory. Not in satisfaction. Just acknowledgement. They started walking. Not toward the estate. Not back the way she came. Forward. Together. But not the same. The distance between them wasn't gone. It wasn't meant to be. It was there. Intentional. Respected. A space that allowed her to remain herself. A space he didn't try to close. "Where are we going?" he asked after a while. Lydia didn't look at him. "I don't know." A pause. "But I'll figure it out." He nodded. "That's enough." The road stretched ahead. Uncertain. Unplanned. Unwritten. But for the first time, it didn't feel empty. Because she hadn't gone back. And he hadn't made her. Because she hadn't disappeared. And he hadn't let her. Because what stood between them wasn't ownership. Wasn't obligation. Wasn't expectation. It was choice. And this time, they both made it.